It's another Monday and another dose of the Creative Boom podcast with me, your host, Katie Cowan. For episode 44, my guest is Abiola Ogunbiyi, an actress, writer and filmmaker based in London. She also works as a career strategy and creative practice coach for professional artists around the world. And she's currently studying a Master's of Science in Psychology. If that doesn't keep her busy, she also generously shares advice for creatives via her platform to be a better artist, with a focus on consistency, work-life balance, and setting up the foundations for a long and happy career doing what we love. In this warm and comforting episode, we talk about why life isn't just about work, and how artists and designers can find an authentic place for their creativity and build a sustainable career to be proud of. We delve deep into the many ups and downs we all face as creatives. Things like lacking in self-confidence or struggling to motivate ourselves, perhaps finding ourselves running around in circles, not having a focus, and how discovering our purpose and building a plan can change all of that super positively and set us on the right track. So if you've been feeling a little lost lately, make yourself a brew, find a cozy corner of your home, and listen to Abiola share her story and her creative wisdom. Season 2 has been made possible thanks to our sponsor Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp that helps students achieve award-winning portfolios and land incredible jobs in as little as 3 months. We'll be meeting one of Shillington's people later in the show to get some excellent career tips. But for now, here's my chat with Abiola. Hi Abiola, welcome to the Creative Boom podcast.
Hello Katie, thank you so much for having me.
Oh my goodness, it's lovely to have you on the show. I've been reading all about you and watching you in these all these sort of productions that you've been in, and you do so many things. You started off in acting, is that right?
Yes, I did. So I trained in musical theatre. I did a 3-year degree in musical theatre in London, and that definitely came from being a young girl and knowing little else other than that I wanted to sing, dance and act and do them at the same time. And fortunately, I was able to go and see a lot of shows because we had a family member who worked as a dressmaker.
Oh, right.
So I went to see shows, got the programs and looked at where those people trained and found my dream school. It was the only school I applied to. I was so stubbornly set, not only on what I was going to study, but where I was going to go and what leotard I was going to buy to look like the person in the program. And then funnily enough, after training and performing in musicals for about 5 years, I wanted to then change creative paths. And that's been a continual part of my process, is just discovering new ways to be creative, whether that's performing or writing.
Yes. Yeah, you've definitely had a lot of success with your career. You were in the TV series Jamestown. Yes. But I can imagine, which was, I bet your mum was like, oh my goodness, she's made it. She's in the stars now.
Oh my gosh. There were probably 2 things. There was being in a TV magazine, that you can buy in an off license.
Yes.
That was, and I've still got it in my bucket of things I get out when I need to, get a boost, have that. We call it, I think it's David Goggins who calls it a cookie jar. It's just a little pot of your accomplishments and achievements. Yeah. So I have it in my cookie jar. So that's one. And the second and third are the 2 DVDs where I'm on the cover. And that's a real, I guess, not only for my mum, but the kid in me, that, a DVD has your face on it. It's it's a really powerful moment.
That is powerful. That is probably years and years of hard work. I can imagine all the auditions, all the rejections potentially, because even the most, not that I'm saying anything about your talent, but even the most accomplished will have gone through that process of rejection after rejection, not being, not being quite right for the part, because it's a very personal thing, isn't it? And
yeah, and there are so many factors that go into play. There are some things that I don't even want to say you can't control, but part of so much of the creative process is that luck and that chance. A really simple example is, the film The King's Speech with Colin Firth. He won the Oscar for Best Actor. He was the third choice.
Sorry, who was the second? Who was the second and first? Can you remember?
So I can't remember the order, but I know Paul Bettany was someone that the creative or production team were interested in for the part, and Colin Firth got the part. And it's one of those things you think, I mean, there couldn't have been anyone more perfect for that part.
Yes.
But in a way, he almost didn't get it because he wasn't that choice. And I think so many factors like availability, what place the script is in, what place the work is in, any kind of artistic industry. There are so many aspects that create a role, that create a part. And I think what's beautiful about them is they become stories to tell. It's such a hero-heroine story that, I wasn't even first, and then I got it, and then I won an Oscar. And I'm sure that's not how Colin himself tells the story, but
I'm sure he does. Because as you know, you're famous now. You're an actress, and you are, and and we forget, don't we, that these sort of people we see on the screen are just normal people who have worked really hard, and yes, in some cases got lucky, and a mixture of hard work and luck. But yeah, I'm sure Colin Firth does go, wow, I've won that award. It must be incredible, especially in such a competitive industry where it's, there's so few, seemingly so few of the top roles, but there's a hell of a lot of work elsewhere, isn't there?
You're totally right.
Radio.
And it's a testament to staying power as well in all fields, because I think at the time, Colin Firth was about 50. In case you can see, I'm a real Wikipedia wiki whiz, because I'm so interested in filmmaking trivia, because I think that there are so many components, as I said. But like, if Colin Firth is 50, what if an artist, an actor is told that, things are going to click when you're 50?
Yeah.
So you have to, when you're 33 and you're having a dip and you're thinking, what am I doing? You have to keep going.
Yes.
And you have to see every experience, whether it's a no, a maybe, or a you came so close. It's all a step on the way to the one that is going to work, and you frame everything that happened before as preparing you to be match fit, or as giving you the experience so that when you are in a room in front of people, when you are in a room in front of a creative team, you've developed so much experience from all your other auditions that you are composed, you are poised, you present yourself as someone that group of people can trust to hold a role, to carry a project. It's a big responsibility.
Huge responsibility, and especially with it being such a kind of precious chance, you don't want to mess it up. And I guess anybody who's listening to this, whether they're in performing arts like yourself, or they're an artist or a designer, graphic designers, illustrators, they face rejection all the time. And they're in a very kind of visual world where they see all this amazing work being produced, and they see their peers winning awards and being recognized. And if they haven't quite done that yet, I suppose it's really difficult to overcome the kind of feeling of, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to be like them. And there is the danger as humans that we allow that spiraling in our heads to sort of take us down a very negative, dark path. And I've seen it happen to other people. And I've seen the bitterness that comes up. There's a lot of bitterness, why don't I have that? Why don't I have that? And I think you have to overcome that natural feeling, which some people embrace with open arms, and some people go, no, don't be silly. I can do this. And so anybody that I see who are in, a TV show in Hollywood and doing all these things, I know that they will have gotten over that and, risen above and gone, I can do this. And it's that determination that you probably had when you were a 10-year-old girl and realized that, you really wanted to be a dancer and a singer, maybe a singer as well, and an actor. Are you a singer?
Yeah, I think it's funny because I think that there are so many different art forms. And I think that we have really specific individual relationships with them. I know for dance, as much as I loved dance, I always had a sense visually that I didn't have a thought, perhaps imposed belief system, that I didn't physically have what I needed to be a professional dancer. Yeah. So quite early on in my career, I took that out of my head and I saw myself more as someone who we'd call it extra strong mover. We'd say someone who moves rather than quote unquote dances in a really professional way. But whereas with singing was such a fun part of my life.
Yeah.
And though I loved pop songs, loved doing karaoke, I never saw myself as a recording artist. I never saw that. I always thought if I did, and if and when I do sing, it's very musical comedy. It's a character rather than me as Abiola presenting myself. But in musical theatre, I saw a combination of those things. And I think you really have to, I think it needs to be encouraged more for artists to kind of make their own cake, form their definition. I think is it Emma Gannon who talks about the multi-hyphenate life. And then there's also the sign of // life. But it's so important to kind of take your training and then over the course of your career, build that definition of what you see yourself as, so that you can, through your work, through the opportunities that you do and don't take, you not only clarify that vision, but you strengthen your brand, you strengthen your voice as a creative person.
I think that's really fascinating. And I was just really kind of like thinking about all the times in my career when I could have given up, when, things just kept knocking me back. And I think the first time I discovered rejection was when I was sort of younger, maybe sort of 19. For some reason, I briefly went into modeling and I got a kind of, I got a kind of insight into that world. And it was really kind of cutthroat and strange. And you'd be stood in the queue with other women, with other girls. And they'd be like, what are you doing? What are you trying out at the moment? I'm trying the watermelon diet. And I was like, what?
Oh my God.
I'm like just eating pizza and chips, I'm not going to. So hence why I didn't really sort of succeed, because I was not slim enough. But so I can imagine it's a similar thing. You just, when you go in and audition, it's very kind of, right, do your sort of bit. I mean, how do you prepare yourself for that when there are all these other actors all around you competing for the same role, and perhaps they're watching you do your thing and you've just watched somebody else do their thing and they did it really well, and you're like, oh my God, you just must have to overcome so many internal demons all the time.
100%. And also the fact that often those environments like magnify those things. So I've been in auditions where perhaps there might be 20, 30 of us, and we know we're going for the same. We know we're going for like 5 parts between the 30 of us, or 3 parts. So from looking at everyone, you can kind of get a sense, oh, we're not going for the same part. We're not. But as they ask different pairings, different groups of people to dance, you start to get the sense, oh, okay, so they want to match this person and this person. They want to see how this person,
because they keep it quite cloak and daggers.
They're not asking me to dance anymore. That means I'm gone. They're actively deciding by asking you to go back and dance. In terms of how you prepare for that, I think for a lot of people, it's literally just a baptism of fire, because it's not, the only way you can prepare for that experience is by entering the room with the internal dialogue of whatever happens in this room, my level of ability and my self-worth will not budge. I went to a really great, this was in 2012, a really cool seminar with this acting coach and tutor. I think her name was Justina Vale. And she got a £20 note and she asked all of us, how much is this? We said £20. Then she put it on the floor, had stepped on it, and then picked it up, made it a bit dirty. And she picked it up again and said, how much is this? We said £20. And she said, just because you get a bit, just because you get a layer of rejection or a layer of hurt, you are still £20. So you just have to
still wonderful.
Clean the note and carry on going. And I remember I wrote it in one of the, 14,000 notebooks I have. But I wrote it down because sometimes it's the simplest analogies and metaphors that just remind you. And even as I'm saying it now, I've definitely had, when you're really close with a part, imagine when you're really close with a project, you're one of the final 2 or 3, things have been really positive, then that's when the identity levels crank up in that, I could really get this. This is going to really validate me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make, someone else is going to give me money. I'm going to beat other people. I'm going to be able to finally, when my family ask me what's going on, tell them I have a job. All those things starts to crank up when you're really close, such that your performance is affected by the pressure, unless you really have worked to thrive on that. Mm-hmm. I think otherwise it can really be affected, and you have to have such a great grounding practice both before and after, whether it's an audition or whether it's a presentation.
That's a really interesting point, actually, because we talk a lot about how a lack of confidence in ourselves can impact on our abilities.
But we don't often...
so much. But we don't often talk about the opposite end of the scale, where our ego comes into play and we're like, okay, I've got this. I'm going to be amazing. The world's going to not be ready for this awesomeness right here. And you're right. You do have to find that kind of middle, sensible, calm space, that ground. And you have to sort of remind yourself that whatever happens outside of yourself, you're not really in control of that. But what you are in control of is yourself. And you have to keep telling yourself, do you know what? If I don't get it, it doesn't matter. And little kind of affirmations like that. I'm great. I know I'm great. I know I could be better. I know I'm doing a lot better than I was last year because I've got a bit more experience. I know I'm going to be a lot better next year because I'll have had a bit more experience. But where I am right now, I'm just going to take this as a lesson and try to do better next time.
Yeah.
Or,
100%.
I might not have been the right person on this occasion, or there might have been somebody who knew somebody else and it was like a bit of a political thing at play, you know, that type of thing.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And you have to have a balance, don't you? Because you can go over the line with that,
Yes.
where you think of so many things like, oh, my waist wasn't the right size.
Oh
They're
yeah, you
probably
have
someone's
to.
cousin, you know, and you,
Yes.
you know, and that can definitely become a spiral. But we also have to acknowledge the times where that's worked in our favor, where it's not just because you know the person, it's because you know the person and you have a good reputation with that person, and you've earned that reputation through your hard work, through your determination. I think you also speak to something else that's really important, which is that balance of, I think in Jungian analysis, so many podcasts, but
I love it.
it's a really cool podcast. I love it, called This Jungian Life. It's three analysts kind of using Carl Jung's theories in everyday life, but it's this concept of ego strength, and artists need it. I'd say self-employed people, they're different professions where you need a bit more, because you need the ego strength to get up and work when no one is asking you to work.
Yeah,
that
you do.
is a self-confidence that kind of enters the day thinking, I have value that I must share with the world, that I must share with my clients, that I must share with my audience. I'm making the world a better place by magnifying and amplifying my unique strengths. And that is ego strength. And that is so great. And say in an audition, you'd say, I'm going to go into this room and make these people's lives easier because I have the qualities of the character. I'm confident. I'm well prepared. I've dressed in accordance with the part. I'm intelligent. I've done my research. And that integrated and balanced ego strength is incredible. It means that you're not self-deprecating. You don't shy away from self-promotion or call it egotistical. You know the balance between assertiveness and aggression. You stand up for yourself because you are you know the most about what you're capable of. And so in all of us, we have to work to amplify that. And I think you've touched on some great ways to do that, which is simple affirmations, like saying to yourself, even when it feels like, oh, I don't believe this yet, in time you will. Literally just saying, I'm good at what I do. I'm capable. You know, I'm a good artist. I've trained, I've studied, I've worked my derrière off for this, for my craft. And it was something we were kind of touching on earlier, but to also having a community of like-minded people, because when you are working in a field where your peers are all around you, they're getting jobs and you might not be, they're having a peak, they're having I might call it like a rising tide moment.
Yes.
And you're very present to that. Both having an abundance mindset, so knowing that their job is not your loss of a job, because the roles are endless, but also knowing that I think actually part of the energy of creativity thriving is to be able to support all creativity and not just our own. You know, not just when we have a eureka.
Yes, you're so right. I think it's only been in the last sort of year and a half that I've found a little tribe in the creative community here in Manchester of women who
wow, that's great.
And it's very powerful, and there are men in that too, but I find that we have a sort of certain perspective, and so it's really helpful to have female friends who work in the same creative industry, just to sort of, oh my goodness, this happened. Oh, this happened. What do you think? And the amount of strength and love that I've had from that kind of, new circle of friends, it's kept me sane the last 12 months. So you're right. It's about having a community that you can stay grounded with, and know that you're not suffering alone, I suppose.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And being able to talk about the suffering, because I've often been in situations where, you might have a really busy week that's actually become overwhelming, and you might get the response, well, you should be grateful that you're doing stuff.
Yeah.
And you think in any situation, you want to be able to openly express your feelings. In a relationship, you want to be able to call your friend and say, oh my gosh, he's putting the forks the wrong way down on the, when he's washing them. And I mean, we can argue about which is the right way to put up the cutlery. I hope we're on the same side. But, you wouldn't want your friend to say, well, at least you have a boyfriend,
But hang on, which way do you put them in the dishwasher?
No, in the dishwasher, it's got to be eating bit up.
Right. So I was told that it's eating top bit down, because if you accidentally trip up and fall on a knife, then that's not great.
When you're cleaning the dishwasher?
I don't
when
know.
You're emptying
that's just that can no. I don't know. I've never tripped up and fallen on the dishwasher.
Yeah,
but hang on. Whoa.
So
you're talking about the cutlery drawer
because
you're talking about the cutlery drawer.
So no. I mean, both in the dishwasher, but also when you're just washing manually. So if you wash your fork, you put it fork bit up, because at the bottom, that's where all the water goes, and that's also where the drain.
Yes.
Okay,
I get it now. So your point is, sometimes you just need to ring a girlfriend and say, he's driving me mad. And especially during this pandemic, when we've not been able to get away from them as much as we love them.
As much as we love them. And so,
as much as we secretly think about smothering a pillow over them whilst they sleep. No, I'm joking. That's
a joke. We promise. But no, you want, because that is one of the realities of what you do.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to have a really comprehensive outlook on what we do. And I think venting, having a safe space where you can be really openly frustrated is really helpful. And I know in many companies, they do that through having a kind of debrief where everyone can give feedback on how they felt in the project. And so when you can do that with your friends, you actually think, oh, well, I've spoken about it now and I've been heard, and now I can get back to the work of learning and evaluating the experience and using it to help me get better. And so when you don't have a support network, I know journaling is really helpful, but we need communication, we need connection, especially as
we do.
We're all curious, we're all, regardless of profession, we're all curious, we're all creative, and we all need to, it's important to feel heard and seen.
We're taking a short break to thank our sponsor, Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp, and get some career advice from Sydney Liguri, a designer, illustrator and entrepreneur who's also head of Shillington's campus in New York. I asked Sydney, what advice would you give to designers just starting out?
So I think if you're just starting out, one of the biggest and most useful things to do is finding your people. So finding a network. There are tons of platforms like Behance or Dribbble, Working, Not Working, and even Instagram can be really great places to start getting involved in a community of designers and just getting connected to people who are doing the things that you're doing. So that's one, as well as telling everyone that you're a designer, which might seem obvious, but self-promotion is sometimes something people get a little bit nervous or embarrassed about. But telling everybody, friends, family, your social networks, every place that, I'm doing this thing now, and I want you to know about it, and I can do this thing for you, will open up doors. And that's how, getting that word out is going to bring opportunity to you. And then the last thing I would say is just being humble and staying humble. Design work is really great because oftentimes, especially when we're just starting out in design, it's often not about us per se. It's really about telling the story of a client or a service or a product. And you can really, find your feet and find your storytelling in these other things that you're designing for. So being able to take yourself out of it allows you to not take critique so critically and so personally. And I think that will allow you to just grow more.
To find out more about studying graphic design at one of Shillington's 6 campuses around the world or via its online course, visit shillingtoneducation.com. Now, back to Abiola. So it's really lovely because I'm fascinated by all this kind of stuff because I like to sort of try and, I try and be self-aware. I think it's fair to say that none of us are completely self-aware, but it's good to sort of try and, understand how our mind works, try and sort of train it, try and keep it healthy and try and understand the world around us. I guess you've had to do that quite quickly in your 30-something years, because you have had a job. I mean, because in my 20s and probably most of my 30s, I've kind of tried to sort of have that wisdom, but I think it's probably taken me a bit longer. But for you've had the luxury of stepping into the shoes of various different characters and having to sort of understand why they might have murdered someone or why they might have cheated on their husband or whatever it is that you're sort of doing, or why they're sad, why they're traumatized, and all of that psychology. It just must be so fascinating, but it must bring on your own personal development very quickly.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I've yet to do some like really horrible things, but it's so.
That would be fun though, wouldn't it?
I mean,
pretending to murder someone.
It's on. I've always.
Sorry, I shouldn't joke about that.
I despise horror films.
Oh, like do you?
Like capital D spies. It's just I just see the reality too much.
Yes.
But that being said, I think acting in a horror film would be really fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
Especially if it was something a bit like, it wasn't really that realistic, like, zombies or something like that.
Yeah, something really dystopian, because actually it's art. It's not only art, it's work as well. So that's actually a person with prosthetics on, and you get to act like you're scared. It becomes a challenge.
Yeah.
In a way, I would say.
I've always loved that kind of dystopian theme. I don't like horrors like you. I can handle zombies, but I don't like slasher films or anything like that. I've never seen, what's that one with Michael Myers? Is it Halloween?
Friday,
I've never watched
Halloween.
that.
There's the one with loads of sequels, is it? I think it's Halloween.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, with Jamie Lee Curtis, who's brilliant actor.
I mean, she's so great.
But so I think the thing I find most fascinating about that dystopian, the end of the world, humanity, society's broken down, and then you're left with a bunch of survivors. It's not the kind of whole umbrella theme. It's the kind of how would humans behave when there are no kind of when there's no police force, when there's no government? How would we behave? Would we go back very quickly to something very kind of raw and quite frightening, or would we come together as a community and help each other? That's the thing that I find really, really fascinating.
And it's so, one of the things I'm working to do, and I've found so much enjoyment in, is writing, because you get to create that narrative. So you get to decide how the town responds. And in order to decide how the town responds, or as part of deciding how the town responds, you ask yourself, what has happened in the town to make them respond that way? How can I put those events into the scene, into the narrative? I think it's one of the reasons I love cinema, is I think it's such a powerful way to understand both ourselves and other individuals, when we're able to watch a real spectrum of films that examine cultures from all over the world and all sorts of relationships, especially ones we don't commonly see in our immediate circle, so that we can understand that, oh wow, there's a family, there's a society that live in this way, and it's different to mine. And look at all the ways in which they thrive.
Yes.
But look at all the ways in which my culture might thrive, and what even is to thrive? What even is it to thrive? Because maybe that's subjective as well.
So you're saying that movies really have the power to make the world a better place, because
they do.
They really kind of take people out of their bubbles and show different stories and say, oh, right, I didn't realize it was like that for those people over there. Or, I didn't appreciate how lucky I was, or in some cases, how not so lucky. But it's a wonderful thing. I mean, do you have any kind of favorite films that you just have to watch again and again? And by the way, there is no judgment here whatsoever. They can be guilty.
My guilty pleasure. So in my teens, I watched Grease every day for nearly 3 months. I don't know why I did this. And maybe this also might be one of those things where I have to acknowledge how much I could have distorted, but I know at least a month. And I know that I was going to bed watching Grease. Because they were just so cool. And I just loved the arc of, this guy who takes this girl and wants to, take advantage of her. And then she finds leather, and is it leather or spandex, or she finds some material and lives her best life, and then everyone sings and dances. Now I know I've distilled Grease to like some kind of pick and mix candy floss experience.
Oh my goodness.
But I think, I know with me, films are linked to very specific moments of my life. And I remember I was watching Grease around the time where I was discovering that musical theatre could be an actual career path for me. So watching a film like Grease, and The Sound of Music as well, was living proof that this was an avenue that I could explore within my own life. I also, there's a theme coming. Do you remember the film Happy Feet? About the penguins that could
so
sing.
Cute.
And then there was the one penguin that couldn't. And I thought, firstly, the late great Robin Williams was just, he's such an incredible voice
such
actor,
a lovely
performer,
man.
just like everything,
Yeah.
And I also love, this underdog who finds his talent, and he can dance as well. So I felt very, I felt one with that penguin.
It's amazing.
And I'm like, should I speak as an adult? Have you seen Spirited Away?
Yes,
Studio Ghibli
it's
film.
beautiful.
So yeah,
very much a fan of those.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness, it's just incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what's going on half the time, but that's the wonderful beauty of those films. They're just incredible.
Stunning. And I have a real love for anime because, as an actress filmmaker, you can just watch films with such a technical eye. So you're studying the acting. As someone that's done some writing and read a lot of scripts, you're listening to the screenplay, you're looking at the acting, you're looking at the storyline. But with anime, I just get to sit back and watch animated characters.
Chill.
Yeah.
You just get to chill because you're not thinking they could have done that better, or, oh, that's an interesting thing. I could do that perhaps next time.
Yeah, I've got essentially no clue, so I'm able to really just enjoy it. I would say I definitely have like a separate list of like favorite films, so that speak to different parts of my life, but just cinema that I've watched and thought that is so great. And so a more recent example would be The Handmaiden, which now I don't want to get this wrong, but I do think it's South Korean, the film, but it was released in 2016. And it's so, the way it uses time it sort of goes halfway through the film, it goes back to the beginning and shows you everything in a different perspective. And it's so great. And then things are revealed.
Wow.
And that is a kind of film.
It looks quite dark. It is on my list, that one, because it looks cinematically beautiful.
Oh yeah, it looks, and I would say as someone who now is not a horror fan, it looks dark, but it isn't as dark as it looks.
I can watch that later then, maybe. It is Friday after all.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like all those movies where it's mainly just seemingly quite mundane, and it's just about relationships.
Yeah.
One of the first films that I saw, I mean, I loved Grease when I was a kid. Oh my God, Danny. Who could resist? But when you watch it now, it's like, oh, mega cheesy. Anyway, but it's still got a place in the heart. But yeah, like there was Woody Allen's Annie Hall. So that film is just beautiful. The dialogue and the relationship between Woody Allen and, oh my goodness, my brain this morning.
Diane Keaton.
That's it. Thank you. And she's just brilliant in it. And that actual film brought me and my now husband together, because I said, you need to watch this film. You'd enjoy it. And I think that's when we kind of started to realize we had loads more in common than we realized, and blah, blah, blah. Rest is history. But another one I love is Lost in Translation, because it's just so beautiful.
I still haven't seen that yet. Would you believe?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's one of my favorite movies. Bill Murray in it's charming.
I need to.
You really need to see that.
It's a cinematic must. I've heard it's, you must see it.
Yes. I think you'd enjoy that. It's really kind of charming and funny, and it's just wonderful. Lovely soundtrack as well. Anyway, so with all this wonderful kind of self-awareness, you're now sort of sharing some of the things you've learned with this wonderful To Be a Better Artist. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So To Be a Better Artist has evolved so much in my intentions with it since I kind of was officially posting on Instagram with it, which kind of started around October 2019. So it's really new. It's still really recent. And I know that because I have a very small now personal Instagram, or like personal as in Abiola the professional, rather than To Be a Better Artist. And what I wanted to do was share insights that I could have done with when I was first graduating from school, and also share practical tips. That were really rooted in a long-term career vision, because I was seeing so much a culture of you've got to find it by this point. You've got to hit it by this point. And even I was swept in that. Yes. I saw this is the age, X has to happen. And in quite a few areas, like it did. But then there were some places where it didn't, and I became so attached to them that I was losing sight of the fact that I'd just been in this career for 8 years. And if I was going to do it until I would retire, that's 47 years. So the weight I was putting into 8 years of time was not serving my future growth. And so everything that I create and write and share with To Be a Better Artist, which has an Instagram platform, also has a newsletter. It's rooted in helping people make incremental gains externally, but also shift mindsets that kind of give their work and give their thoughts about their career a really short-term mindset. So
that's great. That must add so much, meaning to what you're already doing, because you're doing something really altruistically and putting it out there, and it's sort of laying the path for you being now a creative coach too, so that you can share all of this and help others to realize their full potential, because it really is powerful just being able to talk to somebody else and say, well, this is where I'm currently at. And for somebody else to sort of say, it could be a tiny, tiny thing.
Yeah.
You might make one tiny little suggestion and say, say if say if somebody came to you and said, oh, I felt like I needed to be much further along in my career by now. I should have done this by now. And you could just say in return, who told you that? And that would really kind of probably floor them, because they'd suddenly go, I don't know, where's that come from? And it's making people realize that these expectations, a lot of them are just made up. And you can really do whatever you want. You can sort of make your own life.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And I will say that many of them come from a good place. So it's good to, even if you use the SMART acronym for setting goals, the T stands for time specific. So there is one side where it is good to set time deadlines, but it's when the achievement of them or the non-achievement of them then comes into self-worth and self-esteem, rather than just evaluating, actually, let's talk about why that didn't happen. Maybe it was actually too much pressure, too large a goal. Maybe I had some other work commitments come up. Maybe I felt unwell. So many reasons. But as a coach, one of my favorite things to hear from my clients is, I hadn't thought of it like that. And I love hearing that, because that happens so much for events, circumstances that I know that the client is perceived negatively, or I know that they've perceived it in a way where they're to blame. So a classic example is what you said, I should have achieved X by now. I then have an approach that, we talk about, what have you achieved? Because I know, and you weren't doing nothing. So, and we usually find, many things that they have been working on, whether it's raising a family, getting their supporting trade sorted so that they can work as an artist, learning, or even if they haven't been doing something, grand with responsibilities, they have been acquiring skills that are transferable into the things that they want to do now. So I know that for myself, one thing I really had to keep asking myself was, what have I learned from musical theatre that I can apply to screen acting, that I can apply to writing? And there are so many things. My musical theatre training was the most disciplined, rigorous training I've ever received in my life. It was 8:45 till at 8:45 till, I want to say 4 or 6, but then we were all dancing in the morning before. Like, we were all coming in at 8 to practice the dances. We were all in the gym after the day, practicing our tap, practicing our assessments. And not only that, we were like pushing each other and, you know, watching each other and going round in rotations and like clapping each other. We knew that by encouraging the person next to me to get to be better, I will be better because I will have to level up to match them.
Yes.
And community is a really, like, for me, and to be a better artist is so important because, again, I'm one person with one frame of mind. And I know that I share creativity tips and as a writer to people who've been writing for much longer than me. And I often have to dial down the imposter syndrome.
The imposter syndrome, yeah.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. But then, as we were saying earlier, you wake up and you say, listen, I have a way of framing things. I have a way of seeing the world. Each day I show that frame of reference, I have an opportunity to edit it, tweak it, refine it. But I can't edit it and tweak it and refine it unless I create it. I can't edit it in my head. It's no good.
No. Isn't it wonderful when we make this huge realization, the amount of space we make room for in our heads when we just let all these things go.
Yeah.
And we just go, do you know what? Let's just create. And let's just, you know, find that grounded part within ourselves that says, okay, I'm not perfect. I do need to sort of work on myself. But equally, I do need to sort of realize that there are certain things that have gone against me and that's okay. And it's just finding that balance.
Definitely. It's even, you know, you could even action that and have 2 tables and have things I could control over the last year or 5, things I couldn't control. And so when you then see it in front of you, the things you couldn't control, you can kind of wash them away, like use the metaphor of just washing them away. And then the things that you could have controlled, you've then got them as opportunities to practice. So I couldn't have controlled, you know, how someone interprets my performance. I couldn't control how many people have gone up for the role, you know, what they're looking for visually. But I could control how often I practiced my American accent. I could have controlled the lighting I had in the room. I could have controlled, you know, thinking a bit more about how, like, the outfit I'm wearing. I could have controlled how much I practiced to an extent, because obviously you only have a certain amount of time. But then all those things that I'm writing down can serve me for the next opportunity, which is going to come, because one job, one opportunity doesn't make us. It's the process of going for them, or it's very rare occasions, you know, the Game of Thrones of life events that are, you know, the ones that go like a rocket ship. But otherwise it's the process.
Yes,
of
it's
applying.
What do they say? It's
the
not
journey,
about the destination. It's the journey, darling. But it's true. I mean, I love it. I love like trying new things and making mistakes and switching things around. And okay, that didn't work. I'll try something else. And I didn't realize that was quite a rare thing. You know, a lot of people are very afraid of change. They don't want to take the risk. So that's one of my strengths that I now really embrace. But you know, equally, I have to sort of, you know, rein myself in a little bit as well and calm down, because I can get a little bit excited.
Do you think how did you realize that it actually was a strength? Did someone tell you, or did you just see suddenly like things would always happen after you made the mistake? There'd be a breakthrough? Or
I think it's just really the kind of benefit of hindsight. I think all of my life I've changed things personally, I've changed things. That my husband is very steady. I've been with him for nearly 20 years. But it's just things like, if we're living in the wrong place, we'll move, although we're very settled here now. If maybe a new relationship in business isn't working, I'll be kind of quite, okay, this isn't working. That's not happened for a few years because I've got better at recognizing the bad eggs. Just kind of like, okay, that needs to change. We need to do this. And it could be something on my website. It could be anything. But in hindsight, I look back and I think, gosh, it's so interesting the amount of times that I've come up against people seeing change as very negative, as if it's a kind of weakness. And in hindsight, change has done nothing but good for me because it's meant I've taken risks. And if those risks ended up being, didn't pull off, then there were so many great lessons that I learned there. And if they did, then, well, I took a risk and it pulled off and it's great. And here we are,
Yeah. I mean, I think even a really everyday example is sometimes I've been in situations where, someone says, oh, do you know this film or do you know this?
Yeah.
And someone will say, yeah. And they don't know, because you just want to you don't want to show that you don't know it. I'm not saying it. I think, I don't know how many people, do that, but you can sense like someone doesn't want to necessarily show that they don't know something. So to kind of speed a conversation along, or I definitely can resonate with you in that I remember for about 3 months, I wanted to be an electro house DJ. And I did my DJ. Oh my gosh, I did my DJ modules. I mean, I love electronic dance music like so much.
Same.
But I mean, we have to have a rave when
we do have to have a rave, because I grew up in the 90s. That was my teenage years. You're a lot younger than me, so I can sort of put my arm around you and say, "Come on, I'll show you."
You have to show me like what the real.
I have no idea. No, I have no clue.
Dance music is.
That's the question potentially for Tom, although he hasn't touched his decks in years. Not until recently, actually. Oh yeah,
he could do a Zoom party.
Oh my goodness, he's very shy. I don't think he'd be up for that. But this is hilarious, Abiola. I'm selling some old IKEA units on eBay, and somebody messaged the other day and spotted the Technics decks on top, and they went, "Sorry if this is cheeky, but he's selling those decks." And I was like, "Nope."
I love this.
Anyway, please carry on. So you went and did a course to become a DJ.
Yeah, I did. So I did 2 courses.
So
I did DJing with MP3 decks and DJing with CD decks, and I had is it Tractor?
Don't ask me. I think
it's
clueless.
Tractor, but I had the.
You see, I will admit when I don't know anything.
I have no. It's great. I have the DJ set on my iTunes. I have like an album of playlists I've made. I have a cappella recordings for my remixes. I was fully in it. And then I didn't want to be a DJ. But it was a few things. I got scared of getting tinnitus. That was, the ringing in your ears.
Yes.
And I worked in a nightclub for 5 weeks and kind of got that ringing and thought, okay, I know you can get the equipment to support you, but also I was doing my craft more. And I think what I started to realize was that I didn't want to do something completely different. I just wanted a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that many artists creative experience, where, you just want to be a bit challenged a bit more. You want to feel that flow. And with DJing, I found it. But what I kind of want to say I took from that was that it was everything I loved because it was music still.
Yeah.
I'm not a tech whiz, but I do love technology. I do love learning applications. It also, because I trained in classical music, so I'm very aware of harmony and structure of music as well.
Can you play the piano or something like that?
Sorry, what?
Can you play the piano or?
I can.
Oh.
There's one downstairs in our flat.
Oh,
I need to.
Man. Anyway,
we
so
can end
you were...
the podcast with a...
Oh, yes, please do. That would be great. I love the piano, but that's another chat. But so you kind of got into the flow and you enjoyed it, but you just kind of had a moment where you thought, actually, I'm probably spending too much time on this, and I'm.
Yeah, I think and it's something I now get my clients and I speak about, and to be a better artist, is I saw my life 20, 30 years from that day, and I wasn't a DJ.
Oh, interesting.
I hadn't yet pinpointed what I was, but I knew I wasn't a DJ. And the the experience rather, that made me figure out the thing was I wrote a short film. I wrote a short film called Sexcellence. And the theme, or the idea, is that a girl and a guy have a date, one thing leads to another, and the next day he's not interested, but she forces him to fill out a form. About the
I
thing.
love that. What, about her performance or his performance?
About her performance.
Oh my goodness me,
Because
that's a great idea.
If he's not interested, she might as well take the data and use it to improve. So it was like an absurdist commentary on self-development, but also dating culture, but also feedback culture, because, every interaction we have now, you get a text 45 seconds later saying, we'd love if you gave us a rating from 1 to 5 about our customer service, right?
Yeah.
So and that's what a lot of in my own work, my work comes under, is taking about 3 or 4 concepts, ideas, and creating a scene, a scenario based on them. But I wrote that script myself. It's about an 8-minute short film, and I asked a friend I was working on my series with what he thought of the idea. He gave me that creative support that I needed to start contacting agents and asking about their actors. And suddenly I was on the other side of the table. It was a really educating process to see, even just presenting my film, how different agents responded to me.
Right.
From a communication perspective, and the different tapes the actors sent in and how they varied. And it really helped me as an actor, because I saw, there's knowing what I wanted as a filmmaker, and what led to me choosing the actor I chose, made me see, as we were saying earlier, that it isn't just talent. A lot of it is instinct. Someone comes in, you have a 5-minute conversation with them, and whether it's the way their eyebrow moves, or the way they laugh, or the way they talk about your script, you see you're someone I want to spend the morning filming with. Because that 2-minute scene that you're doing is like a tiny percentage of the time. You've got the rehearsal, you've got, greeting everyone in the morning, going through everything, the future life of the film. And so we made the film. We had a screening in Shoreditch House. I took it to some festivals. And honestly, Katie, it went to a festival in Hungary, and I went with the actor that I did it with. And it was this gorgeous 1920s Art Deco cinema.
Oh, wow.
And there were about 300 people there. It was a film festival, and it changed my life. Watching, am I getting a movie? I mean, it's an 8-minute film about that. But
you didn't take your mum, did you?
My mum, she loves, because, my mum, I'm sure it's a mum thing, but my mum, she sees her daughter doing what she loves. That's kind of where it ends. I mean, and I've definitely tackled absurdist themes a lot, and bless her, she's seen a lot, but she just sees her daughter doing what she loves, and people celebrating it. But when I had that, when I watched that, when I watched people watching the film, I did it again, that, 20 to 30 years in the future. And it was a yes. It was this again, more. And that's how we're kind of here, and using coaching, using To Be a Better Artist to grow my ideas and thoughts about what it is to be an artist, whilst also enabling people at all levels of their careers to feel the same through their own work and their practice.
That's amazing. Well, Abiola, it's been so lovely hearing all of your journey so far. And
Thank you.
If anyone's interested, I'll leave links in the sort of show description. And it's just been lovely hearing about your new ventures as well. So thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Katie. Thank you so much. And wishing you all the best as
and
Creative Boom and your podcast continue.
Well, hopefully I'll be in touch soon, and we can, find out where we're up to. Dance,
make
go
films,
and watch us,
right?
Hug.
And see you on the 90s dance floor.
Oh, yes, it's coming. And we're going to do a DJ show as well.
So much on the agenda. Love it.
That's it for another dose of the Creative Boom podcast with your forever humble host, Katie Cowan. Thanks again to our sponsor, Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp that's helped students achieve award-winning portfolios and land incredible jobs in as little as 3 months. To find out more, go to shillingtoneducation.com. To subscribe or listen to the Creative Boom podcast, visit creativeboom.com/podcast. It's as easy as that. And if you've been enjoying the show, please let us know on any of our socials or by leaving us a review. Join me next time when my guest will be founder and creative director at How & How, Kat How.